This is part 2 of the tote bag. I had to stop the video the other day because I needed to take my little one to get some new insoles for his shoes. So here's the instructions, and we got up to this stage. So we've sewn around the 3 edges, and we have done the straps as well. So we were up to stage, let's just remind ourselves, 2. So we've done that. Now step 3 is to trim the seams back and turn inside out carefully and pin new seam allowance, ensuring the raw edges do not stick out. Sew around the sides and bottom again with a 2 cm seam allowance. This means the seams are reinforced. It's also a French seam. Some people call it a hidden seam as well. Now what I'm going to do, again, you can do the 2 cm if you like. Sorry about all the background noise, hopefully you can hear me okay. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to trim this around slightly to make this seam smaller. I'm leaving about 0.5 centimetre because I would like to have a smaller seam, so it's not quite so bulky. As you can see, I've just trimmed to there. I'm going to cut the corner, and you can choose to do this, or you can go ahead and turn it inside out and sew the seam. But I am, as I said, just going around trimming mine so they're smaller. I've also got sharper fabric scissors today, which is great. There we go. So I do have my tumble dryer on in the background just because it keeps raining on and off, and I've got to dry the laundry today. And then outside you've got next door neighbours who recently bought the house. They are building, and then you've got Mark, my husband, and Lenny outside sorting out the wood for the garden. So there you go, I've just trimmed my seams. Don't worry if they're not completely straight. You can just see my stitches there. So I've left about 0.5 centimetre. Now I'm going to turn this inside out as it says. Now really make sure that you're pushing, let me bring you closer, you're so far away. You're really pushing those corners out as far as you possibly can. I'm just using my finger. I don't think you need a special tool or anything, to be honest. Now what I'm going to do before I continue, let me just flick my iron on, just to ensure that I can feel the seams and that I'm happy with it before I pin it, is I can feel the seams there. You can't see them through, but I'm just going to go over and I'm just going to iron the seams down flat. Pressing, some people call it pressing, some people call it ironing. I use a mixture of both. Is really important stage when you're making and sewing, just because it makes your life easier. You can do it without, but actually you're more likely to make mistakes because you can see these are a little bit puffy. So I'm just going to go and iron those flat now. Got my ironing board all set up, my iron's on, it doesn't take long to heat up, and here we go. Now you could, if you wanted to, iron the seams out before this step. I don't necessarily think you need to, but that is personal preference. Perfect. So that's nice and flat. Now I'm going to do the bottom. just my ironing board a bit squeaky there. I just need to make sure these are all pressed out as much as I can with my fingers. There we go. And straight up with the iron. Perfect. If you're enjoying these video tutorials, by the way, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I upload the next video, then just put the bell icon on for all videos or all highlights, whichever it is now on YouTube. Perfect. So I've just given it a little iron over as well, and I'm happy with my seam. So I'm going to flick my iron off. You don't have to. I am, just because I will forget later. Oh gosh. So when I was setting up the camera, I cut my finger getting my phone case off, so I can put it in the stand, and yeah, there was a bit of blood everywhere. Right, so as you can see, I've ironed my seams flat. I can now feel where my seams are. Now, because this is cotton and I have ironed it, I don't need to pin it. You can if you wish. Now the instructions said 2 centimetres. Obviously I have shortened my seams, so I'm probably going to do about 1 centimetre, but if you want to follow the instructions exactly, then please go ahead and do your 2 centimetre seam. And now we're just going to sew all the way around. Don't forget to do your back stitch just to make sure that it holds in place. As you can see, I am using my sewing machine. You can hand sew these if you wish, but a sewing machine, in my opinion, is obviously a lot quicker and a lot easier. I've turned my machine on, and it is the usual settings, the standard settings of 2.5 length and 3.5 width. And it is just a straight stitch. And you're just going to go all the way around. Making sure that your seams are all tucked in, so that you're not going to see some of your first seams when we open it back out. Doing this type of stitch also, as the instructions say, reinforce the seam as well. Now when you get to the bottom, just remember to leave your needle in and lift the presser foot, turn, press the foot back down, and away you go again. Now I'm not pulling the fabric through, I'm just guiding it through. I did a few back stitches there because I wasn't quite in the position I wanted it to be. And you can go at your own speed. I'm doing a medium speed here on my sewing machine. I have the U10 computerized, which means I can change the speed to fast, low or medium, and I'm just doing medium. And again, as you get to the end, make sure you do the reverse stitch just to secure it. I probably did a bit too many then, but there you go. And then there is my bag all stitched round the edges. Let's pull you back a little bit. So the next one is fold the top of the bag over 1 centimetre and then over again. So let me just move my machine out the way. It might be a good idea at this point just to check that you've got no seams on show, which is what I'm just having a little look at now. No, that looks all good. I'm happy with that. And then fold it over about 1 centimetre. Doesn't have to be exact. You can do it roughly, and then over again. Okay. So what I'm going to do, because I'm just thinking these are quite bulky, so it's going to be a little bit of playing around. So I have just, see that? I'm folding that to one side and folding that over, and then I'm going to clip it. You can clip or pin. So that's one side seam, and then I'm going to do the same the other. So I'm just, this is my seam, fold it to one side and fold it over about 1 centimetre. You can, if you wish, pin it, and you can measure it, but I'm not worried about it. And then I'm just going to match that up. Pop a couple of clips along here, like so, and then the other side kind of naturally starts to fold over as well. So I'm just going to make sure that that's all matched up. Now, before I do the second fold, there is a couple of ways of attaching the handle. You can choose to place your handle in here, the end, like so, slip it underneath, and then fold over again before sewing, and then have the handle. So you'd stitch around the whole top so it's hidden underneath, and then you could do another stitch along there just to secure it in place, so when you turned it out it would be all tucked under neatly, like so. Or we can do the way that the instructions suggest, which is what I'm going to go by today. So I folded it over 1 centimetre. I now need to fold it over again, which I'm going to do. So again, starting at the side seam, fold over, carefully unclip and clip, and then go to the other side, fold over and remove my clip and reclip, and again do along the edges here. Okay, clip and clip. Make sure that's all tucked in nicely. And again, this side naturally goes down if you're using clips. If you're using pins, it will stay more in place and won't necessarily fold over. There we go. So that's what it should look like. You've got no raw edges on show. Now what I'm going to do again is take this over to the iron, and I'm going to iron these down, which will make it much easier when it comes to sewing. Perfect. So I'm just lying it flat. My iron, I've switched it back on. Now go. I'm just doing it from the middle. You can do wherever you like, and I am going to unclip as well, like so. I'm keeping the seam 2 seam clips on and I've taken the rest off. I ironed in between the clips and then I removed them. I'm just going to iron this nice and flat, give it a bit of steam. Perfect. Now I'm going to pop the clips back on, just because that will help me to keep those all nice and neat. And then I'm going to open up the bag. Now if you have a sewing ham, as they're called, you place them under and you can sew the seam that way. Or I'm going to use the end of my ironing board. So this is the seam where I said to leave the clip on. And because this is a bulky one, I am going to give that a really good press. Giving it some steam as well. There we go. And that will help when you're going through the sewing machine or if you're hand sewing. Now I'm just going to do the other seam on the other side. Be careful not to burn yourself, please. Perfect. And I've noticed as I was ironing this side flat, the seam had come undone a little bit. So I'm just going to refold that and iron it again. It's noise from outside. And here as well. So I'm just checking, making sure that these are all as they should be. Don't know why I'm using my left hand with my iron, because I'm not even left-handed. But there you go. And that side is fine. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick my iron off again now. Bring it over here. Make sure that these are all matched up at the top, which they are. You know, I'm not having loads of overhang on one side and, you know, longer and shorter on each side. They're both the same, so they're going to match up lovely. Now we're going to sew the top hem all the way around the bag with a 1/2 centimetre seam from the top. What I'm going to do, you can do that if you like, but a little tip that I would do is I'm going to sew along here where it's folded at the bottom, and then I'm probably going to do another stitch there. So I'm going to do 2 stitches. You can do just the 1/2 centimetre from the top, or you can do what I'm doing. So it's entirely up to you. So I'm just going to move away my magnetic seam guide because I don't need that. And I am going to start at the edge, near one seam, sorry. There we go. Let me just take that one off, make it a bit easier. So what I'm doing, you can, like I say, go for the 1/2 centimetre all the way around if you wish. But there are various ways to do this. But what I'm doing is I'm going to go along this line, which is where it's folded over. See that? And then I will do along the top. So I'm going to have two stitches around the top. Don't forget to do your back stitch to secure it in place. Oh, it's a little bit, didn't like that bit, the seam, the bulky seam, so I'm just using the handle on my sewing machine to go over that, and then I can continue on as normal. Go at the speed you're comfortable with. Now I'm coming up to the second bulky seam here. So again, I'm just going to use my turn handle on the side of my machine because I can feel the pressure of that. And I don't want to risk snapping my needle. And again, go at your own speed that you're confident at going at. And just take your time, there's no rush. And the settings are exactly the same. I've not changed any settings on my machine. I heard a clip pop off somewhere, I'll find that in a minute. Because the clips come off, but I ironed it, it stayed in place, look, which is why it's really good to keep doing that as you're sewing. Now I'm coming up to where I started. And just doing my back stitch as well. Perfect. I actually matched that up really well. I'm quite pleased. Right, and then just trim your loose threads. As well. There we go. Putting all that in the bin. Now I'm just going to have a look. So that's my stitches all the way around. I'm happy with that. Oh, got one of my hairs caught in it. So that all looks good. Now I mentioned I was going to sew around the top here as well, but I don't think I have to actually. I've sewn around the bottom, I flattened it with the iron. It feels really secure and I don't think I need to do that. So I'm going to leave that as it is. If you want to go ahead and sew around that part, you can. But I'm just going to go ahead and go to the next stage. So the final step is number 6. Mark the position of the straps and pin them in place. Sew each end of the strap to the bag using a reinforced square stitch. Now if you don't know what that is, I'm going to show you, so that's fine. Now you can choose to have your straps on the outside. So the when you're holding it, you're going to see them here, or you can have them here. Now, personally, for a tote bag, I like the straps to be one end and the other end. No messing around. And I've not done anything with the raw edge here. Let me see if I can bring it a bit closer. But what I'm going to do before I am going to pin it on is I'm going to turn it up about an inch like so before I pin it on. That will just keep the raw edge hidden and secure, and I'm going to pin it on under this part. So I'm going to pin it there. And I'm just going to put another pin in the bottom of it just to keep it in place. All right. And then I'm going to do the same. So keeping your strap flat so it's not all twisted, I'm going to turn it up about an inch or so. It's about an inch, isn't it? Yeah, dead on an inch. And keep the raw edge on the inside. And pin it just under my seam again. And this, remember, has got to be on the same side of the seam because this is the one strap for one half of the bag. And I'm going to pop that in there. And in there. So that's what that looks like. So it's each side of the seam with my handle, which isn't going to be twisted either. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the square stitch, which is the reinforced one. So you go around in a square and then you go across diagonally, across the bottom again, or top and up. So you're going to have a square with a cross in the middle. That is your reinforced square stitch. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do this handle first before I go to the other side and match it all up. So I'm starting at the top of the square and make sure everything's out the way so you're not stitching your bag all together and don't get pricked like I just did by a pin. Now I've put the needle down and I do take out the top pin. I don't sew over pins. I don't like doing that. I know several people do, and I've got this on the low setting. And again, the same settings, which is standard for my machine, 2.5 length and 3.5 width. And we're just going to do a straight stitch. Remembering to do a reverse stitch to stop it from coming undone. Oh, didn't like that. Why didn't you like that? There we go. So I'm going across the top. Stop when I get to the end. Make sure your needle is down and lift up the presser foot. There's a few ways you can do this. You can go straight across now in a diagonal if you wish, but I'm going to go straight down first. Let me take that pin out. So I'm going straight down now. Stop, needle down, lift the presser foot up. Now I'm going to go along the bottom. Just using my turn handle because parts of this is really thick and my machine doesn't like it. There you go. So I've got 3 sides of the square now. Needle down, lift presser foot and sew up. Might have to do this by hand with my machine where I'm just turning the turn handle. Yeah, it's not liking this. It's quite thick because I've got my seam here on the inside of my handle. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 layers-ish, including all the layers of the seam. And stop. Okay, so now I've done the square on the outside. Let me try and bring you closer so you can see that if possible. There. Now I'm going to leave my needle down, lift the presser foot, twist, and I'm going to angle it to the opposite corner. You see that? Press the foot down, and I am just using the turn handle at the moment because I can feel that my machine doesn't like it, and I'm going to try again with the presser foot. Perfect. And I've reached that corner. I'm now going to lift the presser foot up. The needle is down. You can twist it whichever way you like. I'm going to go along the bottom here. Again, to the other corner. So you're just doing straight along your square now. That's it. And then lift. Make sure your needle's down. And now I'm in the corner which doesn't have a stitch, and I'm going to go straight across to the opposite corner. Now do a couple of back stitches and trim that off, and let me show you the stitch. That is what it looks like. Okay, and that's what it's going to look like on the opposite side. Like I said, you can do this on the right side of the fabric or you can do it on the reverse like I have. Just going to trim my threads. Now you know what to do. If you want to go ahead and do the other side of the handle, please do. I just like to trim as I go along. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the other handle now. The other side of the handle, sorry, not the other handle. Right. And I do apologise for the noise in the background. As I said, you've got my neighbours that are doing work to the house that they've built. And then you've got Mark and Mark and Alfie outside sorting out bits as well in our garden. My machine is not liking the thickness, so I'm just doing it by hand. Always turn your handle towards you, never do it the other way, unless your machine instruction manual says you can, because a lot of machines don't tend to like that. Now I'm going to do my first line of the cross in the middle. Should have some music on or something. Just had this awful feeling I'd stitched a layer underneath, but I hadn't. So if you have a walking foot, that may be good to use for these handles with all these thick layers. But if not, it's absolutely fine. As I said, you can just do what I'm doing, which may just take you a little bit longer, but it's not a problem. Now, because I've chosen to do mine on the inside, do you see like this is going to flap around? So I think I will just do a final top stitch all the way around once I've attached the second handle. So that's my first handle attached. Now push my machine back. I'm going to get my second handle and fold it in half. And what I'm going to do, I don't know if you can see that, I'm just matching up the top here. And I'm just going to clip that, just so then it's going to be the same length. Nothing worse having one long and one short handle, in my opinion. And I'm just going to put another clip here. and one on the opposite side. So I'm just matching up the handle from the middle, like so. Can you see that? And then I'm going to flip this over. It should be about 1 inch, which looks about right to me. And I'm just going to pin that in place, top and bottom, and do the same here so it matches. I've noticed this one isn't folded over quite as much as that one, but that's fine because my handles will be the same length, and that is what is more important to me. And again, top, and oh, that's a really blunt pen, bottom, like so. So once we've finished sewing these handles on, they will be the same length. Okay, so let's go again. We're going to do the square reinforced stitch. So you just carry on at your own speed. Just unpeg the handles actually because they're in my way. Wrong clip. There we go. And they were pinned in secure anyway, so that's good. Perfect. Why do you not like that machine? Oh, gosh. There we go. It's the thick part again. Well, if you do have any questions, please pop them in the comments below and I will get back to you. Or if you have done it a different way, that's absolutely fine. Please let us know. Please share your pictures with us as well. You can email those in, or you can share them on our Facebook group or on your social media and tag us. We want to see your makes and how they've all turned out. There we go. Perfect. Hopefully that's okay. I just have to readjust mine. It's gone a bit skew. that's my handles now attached. Now if you've done this on the outside, so on the right side of the fabric, then you may not need to do any more, you may not want to do any more, you may like to leave it like this. But for me, I'm going to turn it in the right way now, making sure I'm pushing out all my corners as far as I can. That side and that side, perfect. And there is your, or my, tote bag. But what I'm going to do, just to finish it off, this is personal preference, I am going to make sure my handles are flat, and I'm just going to top stitch all the way around just to keep this part of the fabric up so it doesn't keep folding out, because that will drive me crazy. So if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. If you don't, that's absolutely fine. It is, like I say, personal preference, and the great thing about these kits is you can like change them and edit them a little bit, personalize it as well to you and your wants and your style. Right, so here I go. Oh gosh, that didn't sound good. Oh my goodness. No, my bobbin. See, this happens, and that's okay. Let me get that out of there first. You know, we all see these videos on the internet where nothing ever bad goes wrong, where it all just goes so smoothly. Now, my machine, my bobbin, had just got a little tangled up then. So I'm just going to sort that out. And my thread around my needle somehow has got all tangled up. So let me just unthread from the needle. Okay. Ooh, make sure that's in. Back in. My sewing machine's like, no, no more. Okay. Just trim that off. Perfect. And you know, this is the reality of sewing. You know, things do go wrong at time to time with your sewing machine or your bobbin or your thread, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And we have to kind of get on with it and make these adjustments. Right. Let's take two, shall we? Oh, let me just make sure all that thread is off of here. Pick it all out. Right, and let's start again. Start a bit further down this time. There we go. Ease you in gently, shall we? Oh my goodness, what's going on? Oh no. Okay, my sewing machine is not playing ball, so rather than you sat here watching me sort it out and shout at it a little bit, I'm going to pause the video and be back shortly and show you the final product. So after a few choice words with my sewing machine, we finally got her working. Just going to trim the threads. I've just sewn around the top as I said I would. And now I'm just tidying up the threads. Perfect. And here is my finished bag with my handles. Let me bring it up and show you. And this is my finished tote bag. It's a good size. I like where it hangs. It's lovely. You can always give it another press and another iron if you wish. It's a really great colour. The seams, as you know, are all hidden, so you're not going to get any loose threads or anything. And it is reinforced, so it means you can have a bit of weight in here as well. So this is great now for when I go shopping. And obviously this video took me a long time, almost 2 hours. It's going to take you a lot less, and it will take me less when I make the next one, because I can just go ahead and do it without all the talking and explaining, and hopefully my machine not playing me up. Anyway, I hope you like this video. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, leave me some comments, share your pictures with us on socials, and I look forward to showing you the next make. Take care, bye.